Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and today I have a wonderful guest on, the one, the only Mr. Hell Hades. Thank you, sir, for coming by and hanging out with us today.
No, not at all. Pleased to be here. Pleased to have a chat.
It's always a pleasure having you on, and this time we can actually hear your voice, so this is a nice bonus for everybody.
I've got to admit, I preferred it last time where you was kind of just like dubbing what I was saying. Just at least it was a bit of fun for me as well.
Fair enough. Well, I think everybody's going to have a fun time. I brought you on because I wanted to talk about Arena. It's absolutely broken, as everybody knows. And actually, as you highlighted in your video, using some of the information that I know HG Senti kind of came up with, the whole system's pretty broken right now. And I figured, you know, I don't really cover a lot of Arena stuff on my channel, but I thought maybe you could give my viewers kind of a breakdown of, you know, what's going on, why it's so broken, and we can kind of go in from there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I guess, I mean, HG Senti kind of started to look at where platinum level players finish. He actually looked at the top 10, where they finish in terms of points. And they started to do this back before Gold 5 was introduced. And when Gold 5 was introduced, they also changed something around the algorithms. And I think it's probably around mainly these kind of bot accounts, which aren't officially bot accounts, that have basically been removed. And that's a different video. But what he's noticed is that the average kind of finish position of a top level plat player was just reducing week on week on week, and pretty much put it down to a deflation of points happening within the arena. And basically, what that meant was, you know, for every single week that you play, when you do your reset, you kind of get pushed back, and everybody's been pushed back. But then the amount of points that they can earn in a week was just reducing. Yeah, so something around the scoring algorithms, the amount of points you could earn per win, amount of points you were losing per loss, and the removal of these kind of bot accounts just always kind of piled up. And it's got to a point now where, I mean, this week, literally 0 players finished in plat level
crazy.
arena. Yeah, because of this deflation of points. You couldn't earn enough points quick enough to combat the amount of points you were losing. And the trouble with this is it actually then filters right through the arena. So it sounds like, oh, it's just a plat level thing, not fussed about it. Well, that's not the truth, really, because all the people that should have been sitting in plat were Gold 5, and then they've moved down to Gold 4, they're in Gold 3, etc. And it kind of spirals down. And we're able to do a bit more analysis from the optimizer, because the optimizer captures everybody who uses it, their arena rank. And we were looking at, well, 3 weeks ago, what was the average arena rank of an optimizer user versus today? And all of those ranks pretty much done what I've just said there. They've all gradually, over the last few weeks, moved backwards to the point where we've got this kind of pile up between Silver 4 and Gold 2 now.
That's a huge...
So yeah, it's in a bad place. It's in a bad place.
That's real rough. I mean, you know, just the fact that you're losing more points from a loss than you can possibly make up in even 2 wins is, you know, that's a big issue. I was watching your video and I was like, I saw you got minus 17 points for a loss where you only would have gotten 3 points for a win, and that ratio is just ridiculously bad, especially when you consider everybody at that level should be competitive at that level. This should be, on average, an average player should win as often as they lose, because that's the level you're fighting at, right? It's a lose that many points.
The whole kind of arena setup in Raid is really there to reward activity. So, you know, you get more medals for your Great Hall if you're more active in arena. You get more points because you're actively fighting than if you just sit there and have got a defense running. That's kind of like the kind of theme behind it. Trouble was, even active players, when they're looking at their fights, I mean, I'm looking at my fights right now, and, you know, it's like plus 3 points for the top one, plus 5 points for the next one. I can get a high level of points for the final kind of fight, but that wasn't really pulling through. So I don't know if they're already making some tweaks, and they have announced that they're going to change stuff over the next couple of days. But it was just in a position where if you started to become visible to a number of people in that kind of top end, and it was just impossible to progress. And because there was nobody in plat, the funny thing was, when you get into plat, it's almost like you go into this new level where you can only see plat opponents. So once someone jumped into plat, it's like, I've got no one to fight. There's nobody here.
So you can't even get your dailies done, do your awards, anything like that.
Yeah, it was an absolute. Well, it is an absolute mess. Like, I mean, we've spoken about Arena being in a bad place before, and we've kind of done these Arena is broken type of stuff.
Well,
in the past
it's always this like kind of fluctuation. Yeah, just like you were saying with the waves. It's this thing where all of a sudden, like the players at the high level get really condensed, and that filters down until they reintroduce their bots, which is. They're never bots, but they're bots essentially for everybody, and like that helps everybody kind of filter back up. But that's a more regular thing. Like we expect that every 6 months or so we go through that. Yeah, exactly. This is totally different. I mean, I've been doing a bunch of arena takeovers last few weeks, and it hasn't been an issue getting people through bronze, through silver, right? Like you build your teams, and so many people don't know how to build a team properly. It's not that hard to rank somebody back up just with a little bit of knowledge. But then once you hit that gold, all of a sudden it's like, these are tough teams. A lot more than it used to be. So,
well, I'm kind of doing the same thing. So I've run a free to play. I've been doing it for actually just hit 60 days today.
Nice.
And I have kind of been fluctuating between silver 3 and silver 4 arena. Now, look, I'm only 60 days in, and that type of stuff. But on my previous one, I was gold 1 by now and able to hold it pretty well. And actually on my previous kind of series around this type of time, I actually went from gold 1 right through to kind of like gold 2, gold 3 really quickly. It was just like, there was just accessible fights. Whereas now, even in the silver tiers where I'm only meant to be matched against people of my kind of player power,
right?
It's incredibly difficult to progress. And that's, for me, that's the bigger problem. I mean, the plat stuff is, it's a problem because actually that's holding on to players that have played the game for a long time and want like an end game challenge,
right?
If they like arena. But my bigger issue really is that people that are trying to just progress through the missions, people that are trying to just grow a great haul so that it can help them with all of the other PvE stuff, they're just not able to do it, and it just sucks a lot of enjoyment out of their kind of experience, really.
And that's important because the early part of the game, this is the way it is with free to play games, right? And with mobile games is if you don't get hooked early, you don't get hooked. I can't even say how many games I've downloaded on my phone and deleted within a week because I'm just like, I'm not into it anymore. I wasn't able to figure it out, and I'm just done. So being able to keep those new players hooked in.
If you hit a roadblock, it's the same time. Even if you've been enjoying the experience up until that point, if you're still like less than a couple of months in and you hit a massive roadblock, you just think, you know what? Unless I pile loads of money in, I can't progress with this game. I think that's the same experience. I think that's the same type of thing as what you're saying there. That you just like, you know what? I'll go and try something else.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And this is and obviously because those arbiter missions are tied to this. And I always tell people, new people, like, they ask, what should I do? And I always say, like, use the missions as a guidepost,
Yes.
Like, because it's such a great way. I think you said this in your video. I just thought it was so right. It's such a good way to get an experience about different parts of the game and to test stuff out and try new things. And it becomes a really good guidance, even if, things like how to build a champion or where I put my great haul points isn't the best ideas all the time. But at least gives you that kind of guidance that you need early on. But when you get stuck in these arena stuff that is just so out of date, so not applicable to where the game state is, it can become real frustrating. And I hear that complaint all the time. It's just real problematic.
Yeah, and to be fair, we've had the complaint before when the arena wasn't in a good spot, but wasn't in anywhere near as bad a spot as this.
This is different, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some genuine kind of things around. Perhaps you just don't understand how to build champions well enough. That was kind of like the feeling before. Like, it's not great, but you could progress if you either explored different teams or kind of gained a bit more knowledge, or that type of stuff. But
it was good for us. We could give people advice and they could see improvement, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, but this time around, it is definitely different. It is like basically impossible to actively move through the arena right now.
Yeah, it's night and day, 100%. I was wondering, like, because one of the great parts about, and I think this is why a lot of people actually follow your content, not only do you have a good pulse on what people are feeling, but you are very good at analyzing the mechanics, the business acumen, and all that stuff going on behind the scenes, as well as providing what I think most people would agree are very reasonable, progressive, suggestions on how to improve it. That's one of the things I've always kind of enjoyed is like, you're like, okay, well, look, this is the problem. We'll look at that, but then we're not just going to leave that. We're going to try and provide some answers too. And I think that's really important just in life, looking at things.
Yeah.
So what do you see as like obviously the point system is absolutely broken, right? We've detailed that. And there's probably some simple just adjustments of how the point system works in order to fix that issue. But, as we've said, these issues have been kind of persistent in Arena. What are some of the things that you think are, the biggest issues? And I don't know if you have like suggestions on how to fix them, but I think I'd love to hear them.
Okay, yeah. So, I know they've come out with some kind of points around what they're planning to do, but maybe we'll jump into that afterwards. But I think that one of the best solutions for player experience here would be to just separate missions that are PvE, PvP. Just separate those, and at the same time, this is probably the most crucial part, is allow for there to be a different avenue to build a great haul. Like most of these games of this style have a form of a great haul, whether it's called that or something else, but they have some way to grow stats over time. It's like a long-term investment.
Right.
You improve your overall kind of player base, your overall player kind of power and stuff. So my view was, why not add a different element to that where you could actually go and farm medals from Dragon or Spider, or it changes every week, or just something PvE based where you can get the same result as what you're doing with the PvP stuff. Because what I find with this type of game, and this goes right back to MMO days as well, actually, not everybody loves PvP. But a lot of people really enjoy this game just for its PvE stuff. They don't want to get involved in PvP at all.
It's really funny that you say that, because that's me. I was never my Great Hall is, I've been playing this game for about 3 years. My Great Hall's still not finished. Every time I show another content creator, they're like, what are you doing? And it's like, it never interests me. The first, I don't know, year I played this game, I would do only enough for daily, whatever daily requirement. And they didn't even have the daily stuff when I started, right? So it's not like I did it all the time. And it wasn't fun for me. My team wasn't good. Like, the energy I had to put into it wasn't enjoyable. Whereas I was enjoying the PvE content stuff, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that really got me going was actually watching your videos and watching you roast people about their Great Hall. And I go, well, I need more accuracy on my team. I'm going to have to, eventually do this kind of stuff. And, and then it was fun. By that point, it was fun, because all of a sudden I was figuring out how to build champions. I had enough champions, and I had enough gear to actually make it worth my time. But I think that you're on to something there, because it is definitely something where I really would have I hit that wall, and it wouldn't have been nearly as rough if I could have just stayed focusing on the stuff that I enjoyed about this game, right?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people in that same boat, though. I think a lot of people are just in that kind of PvP's aside thing, and maybe I'll dabble in it, but it's not something I want to be forced to do. I think there's a lot more than perhaps Plarium realize are in that place, and
most of them are my subscribers. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I was concerned when they kind of been saying, this is a year of PvP. I'm genuinely concerned as a content creator on this game. I'm thinking, I don't think that's a great idea. You've got the niche player that loves PvP, great, but I don't think you've got the masses that are kind of like as invested. So
well, sorry.
Sorry, go.
I was going to say, I think focusing on PvP is absolutely necessary, because they've done such a bad job up to this point. I mean, not to fully criticize them, but like the basic arena that we have, the classic arena is, I've been doing a lot of air quotes in this one. The classic arena is, I think it's okay, right? It's not terrible. But like right now the metas with all the new gear sets are real problematic. But 3v3 is an absolute waste, right? If they got creative with it, I think PvP could be a really enjoyable part of this game and breathe new life into it, right? But you actually have to get creative with it, come up with some new ideas, some new approaches.
To put resource behind it. You
And
can't just, you can't leave that as is and just say, you know what, we'll add a new tier or something. It's just, there's not enough depth to the kind of systems they've got in play right now. And you look at some big games, like big games employ a team to work on how to manage like their elos or the ranking systems, because it's so important. You know, if you don't have a balance there, I mean, we see it here with they've kind of made a tweak which they thought was minor. It's totally thrown all of their systems out the window, right, out of nowhere.
So bad, and we know they're going to be tweaking it back, right? They're going to be finding ways to hopefully fix this in the next, few days or week or whatever. So it shouldn't be too bad. But I mean, I think to that point, it is important to have, just as important as it is for those low-level early players to get a foothold in on Arena. I think it's just as important for those endgame players to have something to look forward to, right? Because
definitely,
it's kind of like, I find it like a lot like my Clan Boss videos. Everybody, I put out those, this is 100 million team or 200 million team. And people are like, man, your gear's so OP. It's so ridiculous. That's not attainable. But they watch those videos. People love to see what you can do. Having that inspiration, having like a static leaderboard would be, I think, really important for this game. Being able to see, hey, these are the best teams, and these are those teams. These are the people that are winning. Having that goal set, I think, is really important. And I think, just as much as these things have affected the lower tiers and the average player, I think it's just as important to make sure that we get those high-end players. Like, these are not people I can, hold a torch to, but I think it's important to be able to see what they're doing. I think that's really good for everybody.
And don't you think it's strange? They've implemented, I'm going a bit off the track here, but they've implemented 3v3 Arena.
We have no track. We are off the train rails. Like, we can do what we want. We're flying. It's good.
But it's just like, how long ago was that? And we still don't have someone who wins at the end of the week. We don't even have like a competitive element to the Gold 4, like the top tier.
Yeah.
We don't have rewards that reflect what people are achieving. And therefore, it makes it kind of like a dead game mode. All you're doing really is you're farming a gold bar kind of setup, really for mediocre potential rewards out the other end of it.
Yeah.
I just feel like they just miss a trick on some of this stuff. It just, if this is the competitive area of your game, then make it the competitive area of your game. Leaderboard, like, it's so simple. Yeah. You say it out loud, you're like, am I really saying these words? It's so simple.
It's very basic, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not there. And obviously they need to fix the fundamental issue with Classic right now, because it's just probably losing the players on a daily basis, I would imagine. But once you get past the basic, and this is the thing, you think, please don't just put a sticky plaster on the basic stuff, because you actually need a team of your biggest minds in there and be, right, what are we actually going to do here? Because we've got a chance, we've got a chance. We're having to do a reset anyway. So why don't we just do this properly? Why don't we just do a proper reset of Arena and give people some stuff to aim for, give people some rewards to go for on a daily or weekly basis, whatever it is. But as it's been in the last 2 years, even the sticky plaster is not going to change how people feel, I think, about Arena.
I totally agree. I think we touched on the rewards, and I mean, I don't know about you, but I basically delete everything that I get from now.
Yes. All I'm playing for each week is those 60 gems.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. It's very true. I mean, what would I guess there's 2 points when it comes to the rewards, right? There is I think it gets overblown because these are people that are very active and have been at it a long time. I don't think it's that big a part of the population that had the player base, I should say, that has a full Great Hall. But what do you think we should do with the gold bars once you do get a full Great Hall? And then what do you think about the rewards that we do get as far as like the gear sets? How do you think we should? I mean, what would you suggest as far as ways to like just improve that? I mean, obviously, you can just make them better, which is, I think, a good solution. But like, I don't know if you have like specific ideas on like ways to improve that.
Yeah, well, so my view on the medals. Let's start with the medals.
Sure.
I think that these kind of gold medals, gold bars, they should be a more common currency between all Arena or just a common currency in general. So let's say they swapped out Classic Arena as a place for medals. Let's say they took that on board and were like, you know what, we will do it through dungeons. I still think it should be the same currency that you're able to spend in that bazaar. Yeah, so you choose to spend it on your your Great Hall, or you choose to spend it in the Bazaar. They do a rework of the Bazaar so that it's just 10 times better. And again, that feels like it's so easy to do.
Yeah,
they've got so much stuff in the game now. They've got Chaos Ore, they've got these feasts, they've got barrels, they've got glyphs, they've got gear sets. There's so many things. They've got old fusion champions. Like the list goes on. They've got ninja. Like there's so many things they could do with the Bazaar to kick it up an extra notch and really make people want to play. I think if that currency was all the same, people have a choice then. It's like, well, do I improve my Great Hall? Or actually, would I rather invest in a copy of Ninja or a new Ninja, whatever it is? I think there's a lot they could do around reward and kind of currencies and just kind of start to bring some of them together instead of continuously making separate ones,
Yeah. I think that goes back to that idea of like, let me do what I want to do. What's fun for me, let me do that. Don't force me to do the things that I don't like. And I'll get there when I want to, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think even if it's a conversion, right? Even if it's like, okay, I'm going to take my medals and convert them to gold bars or vice versa. Yeah. I think that would be, great all the way around.
Because I'm sitting on, I got here, nearly 10,000 gold medals.
Jeez.
And I don't actively play the arena during the week. I literally do my 5 hits for the daily. I wouldn't even do those probably. Well, I would actually for the energy. But the main reason I do any is so that I get some of this forge material, the ingots. Otherwise, it'd be like it's kind of pointless to me to do because my Great Hall's been finished for several months now. And I know some people they still actively play it a lot every day, the arena, even though their Great Hall's full, and they've got thousands and thousands of kind of overspill. And it doesn't look like there's any want to change that from kind of Raid's point of view at the moment. They see it as such a small group of players, which is fine. It's fair, I guess, but
it doesn't seem like it'd be a hard thing to switch to fix that or make it, something that we could. So many of these fixes are like just simple things that we could,
It could just,
switch.
You could convert it to Clan Gold. All of a sudden the Clan shop is actually, I think, in a reasonable spot.
Clan shop's actually pretty good overall.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff in there now. So I'd much rather convert it to Clan Gold and be able to buy up, your coal fragments or what have you. It feels like that's actually not a bad thing for people to be able to do. Certainly those end game players that might want some of those things now. I think that system is it just needs some thought, and I don't think it's hard fixes here. It's not like I will ask you to code new bosses and come up with loads of new visuals and stuff like that. It's just
we'll get the Hydra in another video.
Yeah, like come on, that's not tough. That's not a tough change.
Yeah, we'll do Hydra in another video. We'll get
yeah. Oh dear, we could do another 20 minutes on Hydra for sure.
Oh my god. How do you feel about the sets though themselves that we're getting, like the gear sets? Because the
divine sets.
Because I think you nailed it. Like nobody uses divine sets outside of a couple very very niche moments, right? Like maybe if you want to set up your seer, or if you happen to have a second Krisk like some jerks I know and want to build a crazy. I'm just kidding. And want to build a crazy Infinity team. You know what I mean? Like outside of those kind of specific niches, it doesn't seem necessary at all.
No, it's they're weak really compared to a lot of gear sets now. And again, it's just because the game's moved on. And unfortunately, and this is I'd say is a criticism of Raid generally. They move on to a new thing in their game, but they never update something that was existing before. Mm-hmm. So they move on to bring in Hydra drops or Doom Tower drops and stuff like that. They never kind of just take a check back and say, well, we need to tweak some stuff that already exists. And, I think these gear sets are a good example of that. I think the rewards in Arena generally are a good example of that. By free to play, why would it ever need 3-star gear in 60 days on? and that's a once a week drop. Silver 3, you get 3-star gear. I haven't used 3-star gear since day one. I literally have not rolled it since day one.
I've never understood why there is anything less than 5-star gear being dropped, period, in this game. When it comes to things like clan boss rewards, arena rewards. It doesn't make any sense. I understand there's that dungeon progression. I understand there's that campaign progression. And I think that's great, right? Like, yes, you should be able to rank up. But once you start, I mean, if we're trying to offer rewards that are going to help people and incentivize them to continue playing, shouldn't even, I mean, maybe bronze gets 4-star, but everything after that should be 5-star at a minimum. And once you're in gold, there's no point. We have level 25 dungeons. We should be getting 6-star gear automatically. 100%. Automatically. You know,
it goes back to these systems were in place when dungeons only went up to stage 15.
Yeah.
So at that point, maybe it made some sense that you had 4-star and 5-star gear being dropped, because pretty much that's all you could get. That was like, you know, the 5-star gear was rare to get.
Right.
Then we got 15 to 20 added. Nothing changed in the arena. People could get up to 6-star gear. Now we've obviously got up to 25 added, and 6-star gear is like a minimum for, you know, most players that are trying to build anything towards, you know, end game stuff. So
if you're able to get in the gold 5, you're almost not even keeping 5-star gear anymore. It's very select pieces that you would even look at. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So it just, I don't feel like they, you know, and you can say this for a number of places in the game. The marketplace never has been changed since they did it. And again, it's a laughing stock. People open it and just laugh their heads off every time they open it. Like when we see something we want, it's just, I just feel like there's a number of areas like that where they could just be like, you know what, spend a week and just update these things, and it would go down so well. It really would go down incredibly well, I think.
I agree. I mean, well, you know, and you look at what they've done with the tavern, right? It's an amazing update, and that is the one thing I have to give great credit for, right? Every update they've done over the last year or so, I would say a vast majority of them have been incredibly beneficial for players. They've been stuff that we've been asking for, you know. The issue is that it takes so long for them to do those, and these shouldn't be complex updates, right? These shouldn't be crazy things. But
yeah, I mean, you know, even when we look at what they've suggested that's going to come, at the moment we don't know the full detail, and I've said that to a few people that have been commenting to me, so that's fair. We don't know the detail, so what we've got is kind of like a sketchy outline of, you know, they're going to do an arena points rebalance. Okay. Does that mean, and I guess that means that there'll be a rebalance of the economy in the arena. I'm hoping that's what it means in terms of, you know,
I would imagine that's going back to what we had, where you're winning more points than you can possibly lose, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And it also says here there's going to be a matchmaking adjustment for the lower tiers like bronze and silver. Again, that feels better. People being able to progress quicker through their missions, you know, grow their Great Hall better or stronger and quicker, feels good. Again, we don't know what exactly they're going to do there. You know, so that you won't be demoted from gold tiers as quickly. So maybe you'll lose less points for a defense, for example, potentially. But again, we don't know the detail behind it. We're just kind of guessing at the moment.
Right.
But the one I do like is they've said that several arena-related missions will become easier to complete. So at least they're taking it on board that it's frustrating that, you know, there's always this roadblock and it's arena.
Well, you know, it's funny. You hear a lot of people going, well, I don't even have my arbiter. How am I supposed to do good in arena? And it's like, well, I don't know how big of an issue that really is, because we have so many champions that can do that kind of role for us, whether having a speed aura or having a turn meter boost in their kit. And, you know, that's not going to be as much of a factor, but it is nice to be able to have that go-to champion. Like, I remember when I pulled my first arbiter, when I got her for my missions, I was like, oh my God, now I understand why people are like, oh, I really want this champion. You know, it's like, she's pretty amazing. Pretty great champion.
Yeah, I don't think suddenly all these people that couldn't compete at the top are suddenly going to be, you know, pushing their way up to plat because they picked up an arbiter. She does actually help right through the game. Like, she's a great champion. A bit like a Seal of the Drakes. Once she comes into your teams, can progress everywhere, you know, pretty much anywhere quicker. So she's definitely a good one to pick up. And also, it's just fun, like doing these missions and going on a bit of a run. I do it on the free to play now and then. I'm like, I'm going to crack out 5 or 6 missions here because I've got past this one, which has been a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's quite good fun. It kind of just gives you a different direction for the day. You pick up a few extra rewards. All of that sort of stuff is really what you should be doing in games like this. You know,
I honestly miss them. I miss them. I'm still doing my Ramontu missions. Don't get me wrong, but like those suck. Those are not fun. So like I miss those ones where it's like, oh, I can knock out 3 or 4 of these real quick. I don't have to just spend 50 glyphs uselessly. Like these are actually interesting things.
Definitely.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those. Hey, man, well, thank you for coming by and talking with us about this. I think I've taken up enough of your time, and this is definitely informative on my part, and I think for a lot of the people out there, this went probably twice as long as I was expecting it to, but, you know, always good talking with you, man.
Yeah, well, let's hope that either they come up with some great suggestions themselves, or they put something in play. Like I said earlier, I hope it's not just a sticky plaster that we then come back to this in 3 months' time. We say, same old stuff, you know. Anyway, look, I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully, some people enjoyed it.
Well, I will say for myself, I enjoyed it. So whether they did or not, I don't care. This was fun for me. So thanks for coming on. Awesome. Yeah, hey guys, thank you for stopping by. Till next week, meet. I'm the Deadwood Jedi. Oh, go check out his channel. If you haven't checked out his channel, go do that. You should subscribe to this guy. All of his stuff down below. All right, take care.